Donald Trump's presidency. We're starting with the big one. In the year 2000, The Simpsons aired Bart to the Future, where Lisa Simpson becomes president of the United States. During a cabinet meeting, she casually mentions, "We inherited quite the budget crunch from President Trump." At the time, this seemed like the most absurd throwaway line imaginable. Trump was just a businessman and reality TV star, yet 16 years later, he became the 45th president of the United States. The writers have said they chose Trump because they thought it represented America going insane. Turns out they were more prophetic than they knew. But here's what's even crazier. They got the visual details right too. The episode showed Trump on an escalator, which matched his actual campaign announcement in 2015. Coincidence? You decide. Disney buying Fox. In 1998's When You Dish Upon a Star, there's a blink and you'll miss it sight gag showing the 20th Century Fox logo with a sign underneath reading a division of Walt Disney Company. 20 years later, in 2019, Disney completed its acquisition of 21st Century Fox for $71.3 billion, one of the biggest media mergers in history. This literally changed the entire entertainment landscape, bringing X-Men and Fantastic Four back to Marvel and making Disney even more of a media monopoly. The writers claim this was just a joke about corporate consolidation, but the specificity is unsettling. They didn't just predict big company buys other big company, they predicted exactly which companies would merge. Smartwatches. Lisa's wedding from 1995 showed us 2010 from The Simpsons' perspective. In one scene, we see characters wearing watch phones on their wrists, talking directly into them. The Apple Watch launched in 2015, and now smartwatches are everywhere. But The Simpsons didn't just predict wearable tech, they predicted specifically that we'd talk to our watches like phones, which is exactly what happened with features like Siri integration and cellular connectivity. The visual design was remarkably close too. Rectangular screens, wrist-mounted, used for communication. It's like they had a prototype sitting on their animation desk 20 years early. Video calling. The same 1995 episode also showed video calling technology that looks exactly like FaceTime, Zoom, and Skype. While video phones existed in concept, The Simpsons predicted how mainstream and casual they'd become. The characters used them naturally, just like we do today. During COVID-19, this prediction became eerily relevant as video calling became essential for work, school, and staying connected. They even got the awkward family dynamics right, showing characters looking uncomfortable on video calls, which anyone who survived a Zoom family dinner can relate to. Lady Gaga's Super Bowl performance. In 2012's Lisa Goes Gaga, Lady Gaga performs a concert in Springfield while suspended in the air by cables and wires. 5 years later, Lady Gaga's Super Bowl 51 halftime performance featured her literally doing the same thing, suspended by cables, flying through the air. The visual similarity is uncanny, but it gets weirder. The Simpsons version showed her wearing a sparkly futuristic outfit while flying overhead, exactly matching her Super Bowl costume design. Even her positioning and choreography movements were similar. The writers say they were just parodying her theatrical stage presence, but the specific aerial choreography prediction is oddly precise. By the way, I'm going to be posting a lot here, so subscribe and drop a like for the algorithm. Three-eyed fish. Way back in season 2's 2 Cars in Every Garage, Bart catches a three-eyed fish named Blinky near the Springfield nuclear plant. Sadly, this has come true multiple times. Three-eyed fish have been found near nuclear facilities in Argentina, Japan, and other locations with nuclear contamination. It's one prediction we wish hadn't come true. The episode was criticizing nuclear safety standards, and unfortunately, reality caught up. The three-eyed fish became a symbol of environmental contamination, just like Blinky was meant to be. Autocorrect fails. In 1994's Lisa on Ice, Dolph uses a handheld device that autocorrects beat up Martin to eat up Martha. This predicted not just autocorrect technology, but specifically how frustrating and hilariously wrong it would be. Anyone who's been betrayed by their phone's autocorrect knows this pain. The Simpsons understood that predictive text would be both revolutionary and deeply flawed, creating as many problems as it solved. They even predicted that autocorrect fails would become a source of humor, which they absolutely have. Virtual reality headsets. The Simpsons has shown virtual reality headsets in multiple episodes dating back to the 1990s. Characters wear bulky headsets and interact with virtual worlds. Today, VR is finally mainstream with devices like the Meta Quest, Apple Vision Pro, and PlayStation VR. The visual design the Simpsons used, bulky headsets covering the eyes, is exactly what we got. They predicted not just the technology, but how immersive and isolating it would be. Episodes showed characters completely absorbed in virtual worlds, ignoring reality around them, which perfectly describes modern VR usage. Voting machine errors. In 2008's Treehouse of Horror 19th, Homer tries to vote for Obama, but the machine keeps switching his vote to McCain. This exact scenario has happened repeatedly in real elections. Voting machines malfunctioning, changing votes, or not registering selections correctly have become genuine concerns in modern democracy. The episode was meant as political satire, but it highlighted a real vulnerability in electronic voting systems that continues to cause problems today. Cypress Hill with orchestra. In 1996's Homerpalooza, there's a throwaway joke where Cypress Hill is scheduled to play with the London Symphony Orchestra, but it's treated as an obvious mistake. Years later, Cypress Hill actually did perform with orchestras multiple times, including the London Symphony Orchestra. What started as a Simpsons joke became a real collaboration. The band has said they were directly inspired by the Simpsons joke to make it happen. Sometimes life imitates art imitating life. The Higgs-Boson equation. In 1998's The Wizard of Evergreen Terrace, Homer writes an equation on a blackboard that's remarkably close to the actual mass of the Higgs-Boson particle. The Higgs boson wasn't discovered until 2012 at CERN, but the Simpsons got the math almost exactly right 14 years early. The equation Homer wrote predicted the particle's mass within a small margin of error. Writer David X. Cohen, who has a physics degree, says he calculated what the mass might be based on existing theories. Still, getting that close to one of physics' greatest discoveries is remarkable. Game of Thrones ending. 2017's The Simpsons featured a dragon burning down a medieval city in a scene that looked exactly like Daenerys destroying King's Landing. 2 years later, Game of Thrones ended with Daenerys and her dragon burning King's Landing to the ground. The visual composition, the dragon's positioning, even the color palette matched the Simpsons version. The Simpsons even predicted the fan reaction, showing characters looking disappointed and confused by the destruction, which perfectly matched how audiences felt about the controversial finale. Tom Hanks' COVID PSA. 2007's The Simpsons movie featured Tom Hanks in a government-sponsored advertisement promoting Springfield. During the COVID-19 pandemic, Tom Hanks appeared in multiple government PSAs, encouraging Americans to follow health guidelines. The format, tone, and even Hanks' delivery style matched The Simpsons version. The movie version was satirizing celebrity endorsements of government messages, but it predicted exactly how celebrity PSAs would be used during the pandemic. Apple Vision Pro design. Across multiple episodes, The Simpsons has shown characters wearing sleek, white, Apple-esque VR headsets that look remarkably similar to the Apple Vision Pro. When Apple announced the Vision Pro in 2023, the design language was pure Apple. Clean, white, minimalist, exactly matching what The Simpsons had been showing for years. They predicted not just virtual reality adoption, but specifically how Apple would approach the design, making it look more like a premium consumer device rather than clunky gaming equipment. NSA surveillance scandal. In 2007's The Simpsons movie, there's a scene showing the NSA listening in on phone conversations of regular Americans, treating mass surveillance as a casual government activity. 6 years later, Edward Snowden's 2013 revelations exposed the exact same thing. The NSA was conducting massive surveillance programs on American citizens without their knowledge. The Simpsons treated government spying as an obvious reality, while most Americans were shocked to learn it was actually happening. The movie's casual portrayal of surveillance perfectly matched what Snowden later revealed about how normalized this activity had become within government agencies. Horse meat scandal. In 1994's Sweet Seymour Skinner's Bought Us song, there's a throwaway gag about horse meat being used in school lunches, with groundskeeper Willie making a joke about it. In 2013, a massive scandal broke across Europe when horse DNA was found in beef products sold in supermarkets and restaurants. Major food companies had unknowingly been selling horse meat labeled as beef. What started as a Simpsons joke about questionable school food became a real international food safety crisis affecting millions of consumers. The scandal led to criminal prosecutions and completely changed food labeling laws in Europe. Guitar Hero concept. In 2001's New Kids on the Bleach, The Simpsons showed characters playing music using controller-like devices, pressing buttons in rhythm to songs. Guitar Hero launched in 2005, followed by Rock Band, creating an entire genre of rhythm games based on playing fake instruments with button controllers. Exactly what The Simpsons had shown years earlier. The visual similarity is striking. Characters holding plastic instruments, pressing colored buttons in sequence to match music. The Simpsons essentially predicted the entire rhythm game phenomenon that dominated the late 2000s. Farmville addiction. Multiple Simpsons episodes from the early 2000s showed characters becoming obsessively addicted to simple, repetitive computer games that involve farming and virtual property management. When Farmville launched on Facebook in 2009, it became exactly that, a simple farming game that millions of people became genuinely addicted to, spending real money on virtual crops and constantly checking their phones. The Simpsons predicted not just the games themselves, but the social aspect, characters pestering friends and family to help with their virtual farms, which perfectly matched how Farmville requests flooded Facebook feeds. Germany beats Brazil 7-1. In 2014's You Don't Have to Live Like a Referee, which aired just before the World Cup, The Simpsons showed Germany defeating Brazil in a soccer match with an overwhelming scoreline. During the actual 2014 World Cup semifinals, Germany shocked the world by defeating Brazil 7-1 in one of the most stunning upsets in soccer history, played on Brazilian home soil. The Simpsons didn't just predict the matchup, they predicted that Germany would dominate Brazil so thoroughly that it would be historically memorable. The real game became known as the Minirazzo and remains one of soccer's greatest shocks. Ebola outbreak. In 1997's Lisa's Sax, there's a quick scene in Marge's flashback where a book titled Curious George and the Ebola Virus sits on a bookshelf, treating the deadly disease as a children's story topic. 17 years later, the 2014 Ebola outbreak became a major international crisis, killing over 11,000 people across West Africa and sparking global panic when cases appeared in the United States and Europe. What seemed like a darkly absurd joke about inappropriate children's books became a horrifying reality. The casual way The Simpsons referenced Ebola in a domestic setting eerily matched how the virus would eventually spread from remote African villages to American hospitals. Cryptocurrency crash. In 2020's Frink Coin, Professor Frink creates a digital currency that initially makes everyone rich before completely collapsing and wiping out people's savings, leaving investors devastated and confused. The 2022 cryptocurrency crash played out exactly like this. Digital currencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum lost over 70% of their value, NFTs became worthless overnight, and millions of investors lost their life savings. Major crypto exchanges collapsed, taking people's money with them. The Simpsons showed how quickly digital wealth could evaporate and how ordinary people would be the ones left holding the bag. They predicted both the irrational exuberance and the devastating aftermath that would define the crypto bubble. Smart home surveillance. Multiple episodes from the early 2000s showed the Simpson house equipped with devices that constantly monitor and record the family's activities, often without their knowledge, treating home surveillance as both convenient and creepy. Today's smart homes are exactly this. Amazon Alexis, Google Home devices, Ring doorbells, and smart TVs that listen to conversations and record activities. These devices have been caught sending private conversations to strangers and storing recordings without consent. The Simpsons predicted that we'd voluntarily fill our homes with surveillance devices in exchange for convenience, and that these systems would inevitably be used to spy on us. They showed characters being simultaneously fascinated and disturbed by their smart homes, perfectly capturing our modern relationship with these technologies. Social media mental health crisis. In 2016's The Cat in the Hat, Lisa becomes obsessed with getting likes and validation from her online posts, leading to anxiety, depression, and social isolation as she compares herself to others online. The teen mental health crisis linked to social media has become one of the defining issues of the 2020s. Studies show dramatic increases in depression and anxiety among young people, directly correlated with social media usage and the pressure to present perfect online lives. The Simpsons showed exactly how social media validation would become addictive and destructive, particularly for young people. Lisa's spiral into social media obsession perfectly predicted how platforms would exploit psychological vulnerabilities for engagement, with devastating consequences for mental health. If you enjoyed this, make sure to subscribe to never miss a video.